Welcome to the Cenario podcast, your guide to mental health and well-being. Each episode, we uncover practical tools, discuss expert insights, and explore how supplements can transform your mental health journey. Get ready to learn, grow, and thrive with us.
Okay, so you know that feeling. After a big meal, maybe Thanksgiving or like a huge bowl of pasta. You feel super calm, maybe even a bit sleepy. Well, that feeling isn't just random. It's often connected to something called L-Tryptophan. Yeah, it's this naturally occurring essential amino acid. People sometimes call it the feel-good amino acid. And today, in this deep dive, our mission is really to explore how L-Tryptophan acts as like a key building block for mental well-being. We're talking mood, emotional stability, even how well you sleep. It does this by producing serotonin and melatonin. And, with all the stress and sleep problems around today, understanding this could be, well, a really important piece of the puzzle for your own wellness. Let's dig into the science.
Okay.
Let's unpack it. So this one amino acid is truly foundational, right? What exactly is it and why is it so pivotal?
It absolutely is foundational. And the key thing is L-tryptophan is an essential amino acid. That means your body it cannot make it on its own. You have to get it from your diet or potentially supplements. Once you have it, it kicks off this really interesting natural transformation pathway. First, it converts into something called 5-HTP, that's 5-hydroxytryptophan. Then that 5-HTP gets turned into serotonin, and serotonin is, this incredibly important chemical messenger for mood, for feeling good, and it doesn't stop there. That serotonin can then be converted into melatonin.
The sleep hormone.
Exactly, the hormone that tells your brain, okay, time to wind down, time for sleep. So yeah, L-tryptophan is the actual starting point for both serotonin and melatonin. That makes it a natural support for mood, handling stress, and getting decent sleep.
Wow. Okay, so it's like the first domino in a really important chain reaction for our well-being. What happens then if we don't get enough, if that pathway doesn't have enough fuel?
Yeah, that's where things can get tricky. A shortage of L-tryptophan can really impact you because it directly means lower serotonin levels. And that can show up in a few ways. Maybe mood swings, feeling more irritable than usual, being extra sensitive to stress. Also, trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. And in some cases, it might contribute to feelings of mild depression or anxiety. What's fascinating here is how quickly a lack of this single amino acid can impact our entire system, from our daily mood to our internal clock. Research shows that even just temporary depletion, like messing with someone's diet for a short time to lower tryptophan, it negatively affects mood, memory, even impulse control. There was a study, I think, in psychopharmacology where healthy people put on a low tryptophan diet showed a significant dip in their mood pretty quickly, too.
Wow.
And even more striking, another study, this one in Archives of General Psychiatry, looked at people with a history of depression. When they were given a tryptophan-depleted diet, under controlled conditions, of course, they experienced a really rapid return of their depressive symptoms, like within hours.
Within hours?
Yeah.
It's incredibly fast.
It is. It really highlights how crucial this pathway is. And then, of course, there's the sleep aspect, because it's needed for melatonin, right? Without enough, your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock can get thrown off, makes it harder to fall asleep, stay asleep.
So it really underlines that if someone's struggling with mood or sleep, it might not be some vague off feeling, but potentially a very specific foundational issue with this nutrient.
Precisely. That's a good way to put it. So supporting your L-tryptophan levels helps you stay more emotionally balanced, handle stress better, fall asleep more easily thanks to melatonin, and ideally, wake up feeling more refreshed.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, you mentioned serotonin also influences social behavior. That connection feels, well, less obvious maybe. Here's where it gets really interesting. So it's not just about feeling good, but genuinely supporting our resilience in social situations too.
Absolutely. Serotonin gets called the happiness molecule, and it's a good nickname, but it does so much more. It's a powerful neurotransmitter, right? A chemical messenger. It regulates mood, sure, but also appetite, your sleep-wake cycle, how you behave socially, even how you respond to stress. Think about it. When serotonin levels are healthy, you generally feel calmer, more balanced emotionally, more resilient, able to cope.
Right.
But when levels are low, that's when you might feel down, irritable, easily overwhelmed, maybe a bit disconnected, and the research backs this up. Studies consistently show that boosting L-tryptophan intake can positively affect mood, even in healthy people. It offers a natural support route. There was a study in neuropsychopharmacology that found L-tryptophan supplements actually helped reduce symptoms of depression in people with mild to moderate mood issues.
Interesting.
And yes, to your point about social stuff, it's also been studied for reducing social anxiety. The thinking there is that serotonin plays a role in emotional confidence, feeling more comfortable and at ease in social settings, so boosting it might help with that too.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
One nutrient, such a wide reach mood, sleep, stress, even social confidence. Okay, so how do we get more? Is it really just about eating turkey?
The turkey question. Well, yes and no. Eating foods rich in tryptophan is definitely part of the picture. Turkey, chicken, eggs, which also give you B vitamins, by the way, tofu, soy, salmon, great for omega-3s too.
Yeah.
Cheese, nuts, and seeds like pumpkin, sunflower, almonds, they bring magnesium and zinc too. Even oats have some. But here's the dietary catch. It's not quite that simple. There's something called the blood-brain barrier.
Right, the brain security system.
Exactly. And L-tryptophan has to compete with a bunch of other amino acids, especially from high-protein meals, to get across that barrier. Imagine trying to get on a really crowded train at rush hour.
Okay.
L-tryptophan is trying to get on, but all these other amino acids are also crowding the platform, pushing to get through the doors. Sometimes L-tryptophan just doesn't make it in significant amounts. In fact, studies suggest high-protein meals can sometimes reduce the amount of tryptophan getting into the brain because of all that competition.
Wait, really? So the Thanksgiving turkey making you sleepy, maybe not directly from the tryptophan, if it's a huge protein fest. That feels counterintuitive.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? This raises an important question for many of you thinking about your diet. How can you actually optimize absorption?
Okay, yeah. So if protein crowds it out, what's the secret then? How do we help it win the race to the brain?
The secret weapon, surprisingly, is carbohydrates.
Carbs. How does that work?
Well, when you eat carbohydrates, your body releases insulin. And insulin helps pull many of those competing amino acids out of the bloodstream and into your muscles. This basically clears the path, reduces the crowd at the train platform, allowing more L-tryptophan relative to its competitors to cross the blood-brain barrier.
Okay, so the carbs run interference for the tryptophan.
Precisely. There was a study in the Journal of Psychiatric Research that actually showed eating carbohydrates increased the ratio of tryptophan to other amino acids in the brain. And this led to more serotonin production and consequently better mood regulation.
So, practically speaking, what does that look like on a plate?
It means pairing your tryptophan-rich protein source with some complex carbohydrates. Not necessarily huge amounts, but strategically. Think things like oatmeal with some almonds, or flax seeds sprinkled on top. Or salmon served with quinoa or brown rice.
Okay.
Eggs on whole grain toast, maybe that turkey, but pair it with some sweet potatoes. Or even snacking on pumpkin seeds with a piece of fruit, like a banana. That combination is much better for actually boosting serotonin production naturally. You get that calmer, more focused feeling.
That's a really practical, actionable tip. Okay, so we've covered food. What about supplements? I often hear L-tryptophan mentioned alongside 5-HTP. How do they compare? Are they the same thing?
That's a really common question, and it's important to understand the difference. They're related, but not the same. Both L-tryptophan and 5-HTP are precursors to serotonin, meaning, yes, they both eventually lead to serotonin, and then potentially melatonin. But they enter that pathway at slightly different steps. Remember, L-tryptophan converts to 5-HTP, which then converts to serotonin. So key differences. L-tryptophan is naturally found in food. 5-HTP generally isn't. It's usually produced from the seeds of an African plant for supplements. And a really practical difference for many people. L-tryptophan tends to be gentler on the stomach. 5-HTP, while effective for some, can sometimes cause digestive upset or nausea, especially at higher doses. So if you're looking for something that's maybe a bit more gradual, well-tolerated, supports both mood and your sleep cycle without potentially bothering your stomach, L-tryptophan is often considered the, let's say, smoother option.
Okay, that clarifies the distinction nicely. So L-tryptophan is sort of the earlier, more natural step in the chain and perhaps easier on the system. So what does this all mean for you if you're considering this for your own wellness journey? If someone's thinking about trying L-tryptophan supplements, what are the key things they absolutely need to know? Safety, usage.
Right. Safety first, always. It's crucial. Generally, L-tryptophan is considered well tolerated, especially at typical doses. We're usually talking maybe 250 to 500 milligrams daily. But like anything, high doses can potentially cause side effects for some people, things like nausea, maybe drowsiness, headache, or some digestive upset. The most important warning, though, and this is critical, is about interactions. You absolutely must talk to your healthcare provider before starting L-tryptophan, or any supplement, really.
Especially if.
Especially if you are taking any medications that affect serotonin levels. This includes most antidepressants, like SSRIs or MAOIs, and even some pain medications or migraine treatments. There's a rare but very serious condition called serotonin syndrome. It happens if your serotonin levels get pushed too high, basically an overactivation. It can be dangerous.
Okay, that sounds serious, so definitely a doctor conversation's needed there.
Yeah. Absolutely essential. Don't skip that step. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about making informed choices, and understanding these nuances is critical. Now, for some common questions people ask. Long-term use. Generally considered safe for most people at moderate doses, say under a gram, 1,000 milligrams per day. But again, ideally with medical supervision.
Right.
Timing for sleep. Taking it about 30 to 60 minutes before bed, preferably on an empty stomach or with just those carbs we mentioned, seems to work best for absorption.
And can you take it with other things, like vitamins?
Yes, definitely. In fact, certain nutrients can actually help the conversion process. Magnesium, vitamin B6, and zinc are important cofactors. They help your body efficiently turn tryptophan into serotonin and then melatonin, so sometimes people take those alongside it.
Got it.
Yeah.
And dosage for mood support, specific.
The typical range is quite broad, maybe starting around 250 milligrams and going up to 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram per day. It often depends on body weight, individual needs, symptom severity. But the key always is to start low and only increase gradually, ideally with guidance from a professional who knows your health history.
This has been incredibly insightful, really breaking down L-Tryptophan from, that sleepy Thanksgiving feeling all the way to the brain chemistry. So just to recap, we've learned L-Tryptophan is this essential amino acid. We can't make it ourselves. It's the crucial starting point for making serotonin the happiness molecule and melatonin, the sleep hormone. We've seen how vital it is for mood, for sleep, even for handling stress and maybe social ease. And importantly, how we eat pairing it with complex carbs can actually help it get where it needs to go in the brain. And we've touched on supplements, the difference with 5-HTP, and the absolute necessity of talking to a doctor, especially if you're on other medications. So here's a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe take away and think about. How does really understanding the specific roles and pathways of nutrients, like L-Tryptophan, actually empower you? Does knowing this stuff give you more precision, more agency in how you approach your own mental and physical well-being? Maybe take a moment later today to just reflect on your daily routines, your diet, your sleep pattern. Could making small, informed tweaks, perhaps around optimizing L-Tryptophan through food or considering supplements safely, potentially lead to noticeable shifts in how calm, balanced, and rested you feel? Something to chew on.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cenario podcast. Don't forget to visit Cenario.com for more expert tips, articles, and supplements designed to support your mental health. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, take care of yourself.